distinct privilege to welcome you here in this amazing Italy pavilion for the official presentation of the INARC, Italian National Research Centers project. Before starting, I would like to give the floor to Professor Rossella Menegazzo, Head of the Culture and Education of the Italy Pavilion, for her welcome.
Buongiorno, buongiorno a tutti, ben arrivati, benvenuti. Dopo un lungo viaggio, immagino stanchi, ma felici spero di essere qui. Forse è meglio in inglese o siamo tutti italiani? I don't know. We all vero? Sì, this morning. Ok, quindi preferiamo l'italiano in questa mattinata. E mi fa molto piacere avervi qua, ringrazio la professoressa De Pascale, ringrazio l'Università di Napoli che si è resa capofila di questo bellissimo progetto che è tra i primi che sono riuscita a mettere in calendario con tutti i nostri problemi logistici che siamo riusciti però spero a risolvere e a rendere anche un momento positivo. Quindi veramente felice perché ho iniziato il mio percorso come responsabile cultura ed educazione in padiglione proprio con i vostri progetti. Siete stati i primi con cui ho interloquito, quindi veramente onorata di avervi. So che avete giornate intense, ho visto il vostro progetto già scorrere nello schermo esterno del Padiglione Italia e continueremo a far scorrere i vostri contenuti. Teniamo aperte le porte se pubblico e ospiti possono intervenire, ogni tanto entreremo anche noi con ospiti speciali in visita al padiglione, ve li porteremo per un saluto. Vorrei dirvi solo poche cose, anzitutto, per ringraziarvi dei vostri contenuti che porterete e che arricchiranno sicuramente quella che è l'esperienza di questo padiglione. Non so se siete già riusciti a fare una visita alla Visitor Experience, mi auguro che riuscirete, anzi se avete un momento in cui siete tutti insieme e volete visitarlo, fatemi sapere l'orario perché magari vi organizziamo un percorso. Vi consiglio senz'altro di fare il percorso come tutti gli altri visitatori partendo dall'introduzione all'interno del nostro spazio teatrale che è molto molto bello, piccolino ma un gioiellino dove durante la giornata viene presentata la Visitor Experience con questa video immersivo che poi vi apre l'esperienza invece reale, perché su questo abbiamo puntato con una selezione di capolavori di tutte le epoche dell'arte non solo, e arriviamo a coprire poi ovviamente tutti i temi dell'alta tecnologia contemporanei. E la sera volevo anche sottolinearvi che quello stesso piccolo teatro da cui entrerete per visitare il padiglione si anima diventando un momento di teatro e di spettacolo live. Quindi anche questa sera, anche domani sera quando sarete con noi, se vi fa piacere partecipare allo spettacolo che abbiamo è alle 6 precise. Se volete presentarvi all'entrata del teatro vi diamo ovviamente un'entrata speciale. Sono piccoli spettacoli, durano 20-30 minuti al massimo e sono ovviamente anche questi un fiore all'occhiello che mettono insieme la parte scientifica, la parte artistica espositiva e la parte di live performance che mira proprio a in qualche modo valorizzare i nostri giovani talenti e anche non giovani italiani ma anche giapponesi che si dedicano alla musica, alla danza e alle arti performative legate in qualche modo all'Italia. Vedrete che il percorso della Visitor Experience porta l'arte, capolavori come i fogli del codice Atlantico di Leonardo da Vinci che sono arrivati dalla veneranda Biblioteca Ambrosiana. Abbiamo al centro, al cuore del padiglione, la grande scultura dell'Atlante Farnese che mette insieme divino, umano e questo globo celeste che ovviamente è il simbolo della scienza e delle massime conoscenze di quell'epoca dal punto di vista scientifico, diventando poi modello, no? Per tutte le mappature dei secoli successivi. Troverete un bellissimo boccioni e quindi l'arte moderna di nuovo con questo rapporto, questo simbolo di uomo-macchina. Abbiamo poi opere, installazioni di giovani contemporanei come Iago e come Oriana Persico, che mettono in arte in realtà dati, AI, robotica e studi anche anatomici, no? E quindi legati alle scienze, ma tramutati in un linguaggio artistico più comprensibile dal pubblico, per cui tutto, diciamo, il nostro percorso porta a voi. I contenuti adesso sono vostri, ma noi abbiamo dato un po' il tappeto rosso perché tutti i vostri contenuti possano essere recepiti da un nuovo pubblico e speriamo anche da nuove partnership giapponesi e non solo. Quindi benvenuti e buon lavoro.
Grazie.
A voi.
Grazie Rossella. Okay. Now allow me to briefly introduce the INARC project and outline its partners, key numbers and core missions. INARC is Italy's collective showcase representing the country's 5 national research centers funded through the Italian National Recovery and Resilience Plan. INARC aims at promoting these research centers internationally as strategic research partners for university and business worldwide. At the core of INARC is its innovative crowdsourcing platform, specially designed to connect public and private entities interested in launching and responding to innovation calls. The INARC project, founded by the Italian Ministry of University and Research and coordinated by the University of Naples Federico II, involves prestigious Italian institutions. Each partner leads one of the 5 national research centers and collaborates in the others. These 5 national research centers operate in strategic areas that are crucial for the future of Italy and the global community. They include Agritech, the National Center for Agricultural Technologies, coordinated by the University of Naples Federico II, whose mission is to advance innovative and sustainable agricultural solutions. The center promotes improvements in both the quantity and quality of agricultural production, efficiently addressing critical challenges such as climate resilience, drought mitigation, health-related emergencies, and soil degradation. Next is Italy's National Center for High Performance Computing, Big Data and Quantum Computing, led by the Italian National Institute for Nuclear Physics, which coordinates groundbreaking research and development in simulation, computational sciences, and advanced data analytics. The center aims to establish a globally attractive ecosystem that accelerates digital transition and significantly enhances Italy's international competitiveness. The National Center for Sustainable Mobility, with the Polytechnic University of Milan serving as its hub, is dedicated to advancing innovative and sustainable mobility solutions. The center actively supports the entire innovation process from research to market deployment, addressing critical challenges such as decarbonization and urban congestion, while promoting accessible, inclusive and safe mobility solutions globally. The National Biodiversity Future Center, committed to protecting, monitoring, and enhancing biodiversity, is led by the Italian National Research Council. The researchers of this center address biodiversity challenges across marine, freshwater, terrestrial, and urban ecosystems, establishing the center as a leading reference for innovative biodiversity solutions. Our fifth and final, yet equally important partner is the National Research Center for Gene Therapy and RNA-based medicines, focused on developing advanced therapies and innovative medicine, leveraging a recent breakthrough in genetics and RNA technologies under the leadership of the University of Padua. INARC involves 54 universities, 25 research centers, and over 500 companies. INARC's impressive network collectively harnesses a total budget of nearly 1.28 billion euros, over 8,300 dedicated research staff members, and approximately 2,900 research associates. This robust team actively drives innovation across diverse scientific fields, addressing 52 research topics through a nationwide presence spanning 56 branches. These 56 branches are strategically distributed throughout Italy, ensuring a broad, inclusive, and nationwide impact. At the heart of INARC is its innovation platform, a dynamic digital hub enabling registered users to launch targeted innovation calls to the entire Italian National Research Centers community, defining each call's theme, objectives, budget, target audience, and collaboration methods. All innovation calls are visible in real time to the full community, allowing researchers and institutions to submit proposals directly. Each call author independently manages received proposals. Our first series of innovation call will be announced soon. Here at Expo 2025, we have scheduled interactive sessions over 3 days, April 19th, today, 20th and 21st in the morning and early afternoons. These presentations and discussion will offer deeper insights into our research centers and provide excellent opportunity for networking, collaboration, and development of strategic partnerships. To sum up, INARC showcases Italy's strong commitment to become a globally competitive leader in research and the development of advanced technologies, actively supporting innovation across science, business, and institutions worldwide. We warmly invite researchers, universities, and private companies to join our dynamic community, leverage our platform, collaborate on exciting projects, and together build a sustainable, innovative, and prosperous future. Thank you very much for your attention. Grazie. Before concluding, I'd like to share a brief video that visually summarizes INARC's activities. Let's watch it together. Nice video, really impressive numbers. Okay, allow me now to introduce our distinguished speakers who will illustrate the objective and activities of their respective national research centers. First, it is my pleasure to give the floor to Professor Danilo Ercolini, Scientific Director of the Agritech Center.
Thanks, Stefania. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. It's a pleasure being here, presenting Agritech in the frame of the INARC project. Before I go into the presentation of the research center, I would like to give the floor for a few minutes greetings from our president, Professor Matteo Lorito. So if that can go live.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Matteo Lorito. I'm director of the University of Naples, and I'm president of the Agritech Foundation. I just want to send you my regards for this meeting in Osaka. I'm sorry for not being able to be with you at this time, but today we're going to talk about a very important project. An important project named INARC, which is realized by the Foundation Emblema. This project basically presents to the people, to the public at Expo, an innovation in the field of research and education in Italy, an innovation which is based on the creation of 5 national centers, all financed by the recovery plan, the Italian recovery plan. The quote that concern the research part. And so we are presenting today these 5 national centers. It's a boost to the Italian competition, ability to compete, to the Italian ability to produce research, and most of all, technology transfer for the benefit of the public. The 5 centers are all dedicated to 5 major themes, which are considered to be strategic for Italy, but not only for Italy. I would say also for Europe altogether. These 5 themes are 5 themes well known. We're talking about sustainable mobility, biodiversity, high-performance computing, RNA pharmacology, and DNA and therapy, and agritech. With these 5 things, we basically put together all the most advanced research in the country, are all taught together, are all considered together, and they are part of the resources that these 5 foundations will be able to provide to anyone in the country, outside the country, would like to develop a new product, would like to develop a new process, would like to develop a new education program in order to make an advancement in these 5 areas where research, development, and most of all technology transfer is very important, based also on the need to have a full transition that there would be versus the sustainability and the digital activity. So most of it will concern the implementation of technology, new technology, enabling technology to agritech or to other subjects. So it is very important that people from Italy, from the 5 national centers, have been able to go or to come to Osaka to present the real great opportunity, which is a great opportunity for everyone. So I'd like to thank you very much, the organizer, the Foundation Emblema, so most of all to thank all the colleagues from the 5 centers that have participated in this project, which has been funded for this reason, and have been able also to come to Osaka to present what really we consider an Italian excellency. Thank you very much, and my best wishes for having days of nice work, and most of all, the days where you will be able to present, to show that there is a really strong input in research and development and education in Italy for the benefits of all.
Okay, so I don't know if it goes live or not. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do now is to present you the Agritech project, where we are now, where we started, and where we are now. We started from very important strategic objectives that are very related to the agricultural and environmental sector, but they can be considered global objectives because they have a very wide impact. We want to enhance and develop some strategies, sustainable strategies for adaptation to climate change. We want to reduce the wastages in environment and the environmental impact of the agriculture. We want to implement strategies of circular economy in order to give a better service in the agricultural sector. We want to develop a sustainable strategies to valorize the marginal areas and their production, and also we want to develop strategies to have safer foods through appropriate strategies for traceabilities. We imagined a structure of 9 different maxi projects in order to address all these types of objectives, of these different global objectives, and we thought about having 9 different projects coordinated by as many different entities in order to achieve our goals. And as you can see, the 5 main objectives are addressed by 1 or more projects or spokes, because we call it spokes because this is how the national centers work. So we have many different topics that we deal with in order to achieve these objectives, and of course all these projects interact all together. Each one of the project has a specific structure. It's coordinated by one entity. It's organized in work packages, and it is based on and the partnership within each one of the projects is based on the specific expertise of all the members of the spoke. We have 320 million for 3 years. We have allocated much of this funding for infrastructure that we are finalizing at the moment, but we also have much recruitment and also some cascade calls whose successful applicants are working now. We cover the whole Italian territory between the original partnership and the cascade calls applicants, and we are very happy to have at least half of our partnership, which is from the private sector, and we covered with the choice of the private companies to get on board. We just covered the whole system of agriculture, from the basic agricultural production through recycling and also technology, as you can see from our branding. We have some numbers. We have recruited almost 200 researchers. We have more than 100 PhD students, and then more than 300 other personal types that were recruited specifically for Agritech, with 1,500 members of staff personnel. So we are very high in numbers. We have lots of people at work at the moment, and we also have developed, with all this staff effort and investment in research, we have already in 2 years mounted more than 500 papers. We are now with the basic knowledge that we acquired during the first 2 years, in this third years, we are finalizing the solutions, and we are going to very soon show a database that I'm going to show you with the solutions from Agritech. So in our web page, for each one of the spokes, you will have the possibility to just exploit the spoke with a catalog of all the solutions to showcase what has been done in matter of solutions that we have for agriculture, and it's going to be a very clear way to get people involved, to get people understanding what the real solutions for agriculture we have actually developed. And I'm going to give you some example, if this comes. Okay, because in each one of the spokes we have different solutions. Of course, it's not the ideal venue to go into much depth for each one of the solutions, but we have many covering different aspects, from having plants with longer roots in order to face the scarcity of water that we have. So if we do not have water on the surface, we want to dig it in the soil deeper inside and have selection of longer roots in order to get better water from inside. We have stations to monitor the biodiversity in order to monitor the possibility to have ecosystem services from many different biological entities into our soil. We have lots of different protocols. We have developed lots of different protocols in order to use the wastewater for irrigation, associated to smart irrigation strategies that can help reduce the impact of agriculture and reducing the use of water. We have developed some remote sensing strategies in order to map the territory of marginal areas, which is also very important, in order to try and valorize all those ecosystems that are not used at the moment, and try to make the best use of those areas in order to make business, make profit out of it. We have even simple systems to transport the electrified systems to transport the woods in the forest, which is another example of the things that we are developing, and also platforms that are used possibly used by the companies in order to self-measure the sustainability of their productions. But by just simply inserting some basic parameters, it will give the company an estimation of how sustainable is their production. More and more of those solutions are going to present it tomorrow, so I'm just skipping the details. As a foundation, we have, of course, we are in charge of the management of the project, but we want to live longer, so we are also investing very much in training and in technology transfer. Our mission is to try and take the solutions that we are developing and the advancing knowledge in concrete life for the agricultural farmers, for the farmers, and to try to, in order to allow this process to be put forward, we just need training. We need training of extension specialists that will have to be our bridge to the farmers. So we go ahead with the research, we advance in knowledge, we produce solutions, but then the uptake of solutions is in the hands of the companies, and we need to try and facilitate this process. And what we're doing is to train extension specialists through our Agritech Academy, which is in its third edition now, to train specialists to accompany the farmers into the uptake of in technology. We are also very much involved in technology transfer. We have 6 different innovation brokers across the territory trying to talk to companies, talk to farmers, and try to convince them that the solutions are there for them to have a more sustainable productions. They have solutions to face the climate changes. They have lots of different possibilities just leveraging on the technology advancement. And we also are collaborating with venture capitalists within the Farming Future initiative, which is meant to foster and trigger the possibility to have a startup and spin-offs out of the results from our research, or even from other institutions' research, because the key is to accelerate. The key is to try and valorize the results of our research, making them a useful business for the market. We have also recently exploited our partnership. Those 1,500 different colleagues working in Agritech were screened for their readiness in having patents out, and now we are trying to make some teams, some groups that can help this acceleration process that we have developed. We see our future of course in these 3 different pillars. Of course, in training, because we are planning already an executive academy which is intended for more mature figures, more than students. We want to train companies. We are also trying to exploit the academic experience abroad, where the training is needed. So we are planning an international Agritech academy, and also we are already working with other institutions and companies to have ad hoc training courses to be set up by Agritech, by the Agritech Foundation, because we can also have custom programs to be developed and created. That research, for example, of course, is another branch we will continue to work. There are new calls that we are preparing new grants applications to make the foundation and all the partnership live in the future. But then we want to give support to the companies. We want to be consultant for the companies. We want to go into the technology brokerage, because there is lots of things we have expertise in, and we want to collaborate with the companies to do that. And of course, the technology transfer, technology adoption, and creation of new farmers ecosystems is another target. And to do that, we are also finalizing a demonstrators for the company in Naples, which is going to be in our technology pole in San Giovanni, and there will be a venue where the research and the industry will meet in order for this technology transfer to have more chances. This was Agritech in very brief. Of course, I'm here if there are any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ercolini. Now I am delighted to give the floor to Dr. Alessia Dorazio, Research Manager of the Center for High Performance Computing, Big Data and Quantum Computing.
So, before starting my talk, I will give virtually the floor to the president of the center, Professor Antonio Zoccoli, who sent us a video message.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, even if in video, to present the activities of the National Center for HPC, Big Data and Quantum Computing, which was founded and financed by the Ministry of University and Research through the Next Generation EU Italian program. I am particularly glad to participate to this expo in Osaka, which is focused on the design of the future society for our lives, because the activity of our center is really very close to this topic. I remember the first time when we started the project, it was in the occasion of the previous Expo meeting in Dubai. And there we were discussing on how to organize all the activity, on how to invest the budget, which were the fundamental partners, and which were the main goal of this project. At the end of 2022, we had the inauguration of the National Center, and it was just a few weeks before the launch of ChatGPT in the world. This launch was really changing the world and launching the AI in our society. Since then, it passed more than 3 years, and many things happened, both at the international level, at the economical level, at the political level, at the scientific level, and at the technological level. And after 3 years of activity, we are almost close to the end of our project. And I think this is a natural trajectory and a natural place where to present the result of our activity. Then I hope that you will understand the importance of our National Center, what are the goals, and what will be the impact on our society. And I hope to be again in 3 years at the next Expo version to present this impact on the society and see where we are in this world which is rapidly changing. Thank you very much.
So again, good morning, everyone. And it's really a pleasure to be here today to present the XG. It's really difficult to pronounce this acronym, which is the National Research Center. Okay. Non me la mette? Sì, però vorrei. Okay. It's not possible to have it on the laptop. Because it's what? Ah, okay. Thank you. Okay, so they change it. Okay. Well, bye. So I will present you the activity of the National Research Center on High Performance Computing, Big Data, and Quantum Computing. But I would say to you that this is not just about powerful computers. It's about Italy's future as leader in the digital technologies and its application. So why a center on these topics? First, this center wants to accelerate scientific discovery and innovation through advanced computing. Think about it, for example, to new medicine discovery or better materials, new materials, or also on fundamental science breakthrough in understanding our world, all powered by advanced computing. Second, it's a center that could enable us to make smarter decisions using big data. And this applies to everyone, from researchers making new funding to businesses understanding the customer, or also industry becoming more efficient analyzing big data. The third point is that having our own center, we reinforce Italian independence on these important technologies. And this means that we won't have to rely totally on others for crucial computing power or knowledge. And finally, the last point. This center wants to contribute to bridge the gap between research, innovation, and market application. So I can say that this center, like the other, is vital for fueling Italy's technological leadership in several fields, in particular in the digital one. You already heard in the previous two talks how this is becoming a reality, how this is possible, because our ministry invested quite billion of money, 320 million over 3 years in 5 different national centers. And it's all about to go from research to business for all the 5 centers. And how we are using our money? In a strategical way, half of our budget is dedicated to building the computing infrastructure or upgrading the existing hardware and facilities that already we have. And the rest of the budget is dedicated to support the staff personnel research, to recruiting new researchers, and to funding project. Innovation project means project from private and public partnership, or even project presented by partner external to the center through an instrument called Cascade Funding Call. And just to give you a few numbers, we have more than 1,500 research staff working in the center, and we already hired, we are still hiring new researchers, around 300, and 330 new PhD. So on top of this, of course, we have other money coming from the yearly contribution from the HCSC member, and we are using that money for activity related to technology transfer, to dissemination, to communication and exploitation. Summarizing in another way the division of the budget, we can say which are the 2 main goals of the center. The first one is the creation of a national digital infrastructure for research and innovation, starting from what is already existing in Italy in terms of HPC and big data. And we want to evolve toward a cloud data lake model, which should be accessible by scientific and industrial community through a uniform and easily usable cloud web interfaces. The second main point is that we want to form a sustainable, globally attractive ecosystem based, of course, on strategic private and public partnership to exploit top-level digital infrastructure for scientific and technical computing and for promoting the development of new computing technology. And to achieve this goal, focus its activity on 5 key areas. The first one, we already say, is to establish a leading national infrastructure, but I want to mention also some other kind of infrastructure, not computing, like the setting up of few living labs around the country. And we want to create a center of excellence with a strong link to specific application domain, fostering collaboration between academia, industry, and also public administration to share knowledge, of course, and providing advanced education and training for the future data expert, and finally, implementing structural measures to encourage innovation and the sharing of the results in the different community. As you can imagine, EC is a collaborative effort and bring together many key players in Italy. We have 25 universities from all over the country, 12 national research institutes, and 15 private partners. Most of them are big companies in Italy. And looking ahead, we are already thinking about strategic plan to expand our network and also to establish an international collaboration agreement to collaborate with other countries, not only in Europe. As the previous center and all the other one, the structure is the same. We have an hub, a spoke model, and the hub, of course, is managing the center, and we have 11 spoke performing research in different domains, plus a transversal research group analyzing the social, the ethical, and the humanistic implication of all the digital science applied to all the different domains. So we have one spoke, the number 0, which is totally dedicated to the infrastructure, and 10 other spoke, which are the scientific domain. You can see that 2 of these spoke are in a different color because they are a bit different from the other one. They are dedicated to the core technology of the future. So the spoke 1 is working on designing better hardware and software for the high-performance computing, so the HPC, to make the future supercomputer faster and more efficient. On the other side, the spoke 10 is dedicated to the development of software and hardware for the quantum computer. The spoke from 2 to 9 are focused on using the advanced supercomputing or quantum computing also to develop applications and solve problems in the different fields. So the program of the spoke is really too big and extensive, so it's quite difficult to summarize also shortly the results. And we are a multidisciplinary center, so it's really complicated. And I just want you to highlight quickly a few examples of the work. So as I already said, the spoke 1 and spoke 10 are the 2 technological spoke, and they are both developing advanced computing solutions in different fields. For the spoke 1, for example, they are developing solutions applied to manufacturing, to automation, to finance, and on the other side, the quantum computing, they are looking for problems trying to solve with quantum algorithm related to optimization in finance or also cybersecurity. These are just few examples. Moving to the other spoke, will be very fast. The spoke 2 and spoke 3 related to fundamental astrophysics utilize technique for large-scale data processing or satellite image analysis, finding application in different sectors, like, for example, manufacturing, energy, agriculture, or even insurance. And then we have one dedicated spoke to one of the challenges of the world, the climate change. And of course, they are focusing on developing advanced climate model for climate resilience. And another spoke dedicated to chemistry and physics, on material and molecular science, which is applying advanced material simulation to, for example, to create sustainable packaging solution. Moving to the last four spoke, we have one spoke dedicated to the environmental and natural disaster, and they are developing a national digital platform for disaster mitigation, and try to integrate all the data, possible data that we have coming from different sources, and try to simulate where there will be a disaster and trying to enhance emergency response strategy. The Spoke 6 is the spoke dedicated to the engineering in all the different fields, and they are using the simulation to solve problems on the different industry, like the aerospace industry, automotive, or even energy. The Spoke 8 is dedicated to medicine, and there are two big fields. One is the in silico medicine, and the other one and the analysis of omics data. The last one is dedicated to the digital society, so they are doing digital twin model of cities, and starting different things, like, for example, the simulation of the movement of the people, of the traffic flow and the road behavior in real time, and try to enhance urban planning and sustainability of the city. The ICSI headquarters is seated at the Big Data Technopole in Bologna, in the region of Emilia-Romagna. And here we have our two main computing infrastructure. The Leonardo supercomputer of Cineca, and we just moved 1 year ago the Tier 1 infrastructure of the Italian National Institute for Nuclear Physics there, in the same site. We are planning, of course, an upgrade of Leonardo, we'll call Lisa, Mona Lisa. And in the meantime, we are also planning to install there two quantum computers of two different technologies before the end of the year or the starting of the next year. We are not upgrading the infrastructure only in Bologna, but we are doing the same also in other side of Italy. And for example, we are building a new computing center, thanks to Cineca, even in Naples, and we are upgrading some other infrastructure all around the country. I want to mention just one main results on the quantum side. Last year, we had in Naples, at the University of Naples, the inauguration of the first supercomputing quantum computer, entirely, totally built in Italy. This is really, I would say, a great achievement for us, and great achievement for the University of Napoli and the Spoke 10, and a great achievement for Italy. So, what we will do right now is to take this computer, we will connect it with Cineca supercomputing. It will work with accessible for external user. Work are ongoing on this side. Looking at the future, I have to mention another project that has been funded at the end of the last year, which is the Italia project related to the e-factory. So we are finishing this center at the end of the year, but we are already thinking about the future, not only of the money or the project, but also of the machine. We are already thinking about building a new machine, an exascale machine, 10 more power with respect to Leonardo, dedicated to the advancement of AI, of course. And it will build and be hosted again at the Technopolo of Bologna. And what we want to do there is offering what we call a one-shop model. What this means? It means that the national ecosystem of this project, or even of the center, it's distributed but yet interconnected. And we want to have one single point when every user can come and ask for product or for service. You can see on the slide a list related to the iFactory, but we want to do the same inside the center, also for the HPC, the big data, and the quantum computing. Finally, this is the summary of what I already said before. There's all the components of the center. And what we want to do in the future is taking all these components, putting them together, and create and growing these national integrated ecosystems, and to position Italy as key contributor in this field, not only in Europe, but also in the world. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alessia. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Professor Paolo Malighetti, spoke leader of the MOST Center, the Center for Sustainable Mobility.
Good morning to everybody. Thanks for this opportunity. So before starting, I would like to bring the greetings of our president, Professor Ferruccio Resta, and there is a video from the greetings of our director, Professor Montanari.
Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to bring on this important occasion the contribution of the National Center for Sustainable Mobility, MOST. MOST is an ecosystem born from a clear challenge to build a mobility system that is more sustainable, smarter, and more accessible for our country. It's not only about introducing new technologies, but all about actively contributing to 5 core goals that we consider essential: decarbonization, decongestion, accessibility, safety, and not last, the transition of the workforce. Everything we do has a direct impact on these objectives. Whether we are working on new models of shared mobility, smart infrastructure, or sustainable materials, our approach is always systemic. Not innovation for its own sake, but innovation to improve the lives of people, communities, and regions. At the heart of all this research, the quality of our action relies on the daily commitment of hundreds of researchers, PhD students, fellow researchers, engineering, technicians, working across the 14 spokes of MOST. Sustainable mobility cannot be built without knowledge, without study, without vision. And we believe that research, free, interdisciplinary, and collaborative, is the real engine of change. Today, MOST is dynamic reality made up of more than 1,000 people who design, experiment, and implement real solutions. A wide-reaching network, but more than that, a community united by a shared vision. The projects we are carrying out are no longer isolated experiments. They are transforming ports, railways, cities, and inland areas. Sustainable mobility through our work is becoming a concrete reality, not a distant object, but a present we are actively building. And that is why we want to look forward. We believe that the future of sustainable mobility must be international. We need to share experiences, compare models, and establish new collaboration with research centers, universities, firms, corporations, institutions, and companies from around the world. Most is ready to do so with a spirit of openness, cooperation, and shared responsibility. Over the next few days, each national center will present its unique value. We want to bring a vision of mobility as a lever for environmental sustainability, social inclusion, economic growth, and collective well-being. A mobility that is accessible, safe, clean, and capable of generating new skills, new jobs, and new opportunities for all. Finally, I would like to extend, on behalf of our entire center, our sincere thanks to the Ministry of University and Research for this opportunity, to the General Commissioners for Italy participation in Expo 2025 Osaka, to the Diplomatic Advisor of the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, Giovanni Donato, for his availability and institutional message, to Simone Passeri from CDP and CDP All for the continued involvement in our past and in particular upcoming initiatives, and all to the spoke leaders, professors and experts who will take part over the coming days, sharing the value of their expertise here in Osaka. And finally, to the Foundation Emblema for organizing this event. Most is ready to do its part. Let's move forward together towards the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to all. So, like all the other research center, also the MOST is organized in a similar manner. But let me start from the pillars that I've used for being our structure and developing our activities. So, what is sustainable mobility? So we are here in Japan is a very pleasure, also because Japan is one of the best country in the world for what regard transport. So what does it mean having a good transportation system? So for us, improving transport system means basically 5 things. First, decarbonization. As all other sectors, pollution is an issue for transport, and we want to have a greener transport, because greener transport, it means improving the quality of life, it means sustainability, and sustainability is part of the name of the center, just to remark the importance. But when we talk about sustainability, we're not only limited in having low level of pollution. We also talk about decongestion, so having a congested cities is for surely an issue, and quality of life is related to having a smooth and not congested transport system. It means providing accessibilities for all people, and does mean also equity. If a transport is equity, it means that the development of the economy, the development of the activities, and finally, the quality of life of the people is increasing in equal manner around the world. It means safety, because transport need to minimize the level of accidents, and any life lost is an issue. So we would target not only zero carbon emission, but also zero death transport system or zero injury transport system. And it means that given the transition that we are living, we also need to prepare the system, the industry, and the population to the new technology. So it means that having a sustainable mobility, it's only possible if we can prepare the futures with the new technologies and the new and adapted level of education. Transport is also important by itself, because it is one of the industries that account for a higher level of employment, but also because alongside the value chain, transport operates like an activator. And generally speaking, we can estimate about 12% of our GDP that is related to directly and indirectly to mobility. So it's not only mobility, but also how we use energy, how we use the public money for providing public services, etc., etc. Oh, we have already talked this morning about the center, so it's one of the 5 national initiatives, and specifically we want to reach our target by providing a greener system that basically means working on transfer to electricity, so the so-called electric transition, but not only electricity. It means also working on alternative fuels and new propulsion system. Safe, how to reach safe? We can reach safe by leveraging on a high level of technology, by using automation, and by replanning the infrastructures. A resilient system, so we just came out from the COVID when we started this project, so the issue of resiliency is how the system can react to adverse event that comes from, for example, a pandemic spread, but also adverse weather event. It's an important task for transport and mobility. How we can provide accessibility to all people, like the technology transition allow more or less everybody in the world to have a cell phone and be able to communicate. The target is to have solution that is accessible for both well-developed countries, but also frugal vehicles that can be easily accessed by countries that have a lower level of income and lower level of development, for which moving toward let's say a transportation system that is accessible and do not generate pollution is essential for all around the world. Having an economy that is competitive, transport is one key issue, so moving people, moving ideas, moving freight in a sustainable manner is one of the topics that is crucial for us. And using collaboration within the country, but also all around the world to foster the better solution in transport. So as all the other systems, we rely on an hub and spoke structure. Just a note, hub and spoke has been used by the 5 national systems to tackle a research project that is very complex, as all the centers have. It's not a case that hub and spoke comes from transport, because typically transport has to deal with complexity. Indeed, hub and spoke is the typical naming that the air transport system use for finding solution from bring people from any country in the world to any other destination in the world. In particular, we have 14 spokes. It's quite complex, this picture, so I will move to the next one and then explain a little bit better what each spoke does. Overall, the spoke involve 24 university plus 1 National Institute Center, the CNR institutes, and 44 private entities that spread along all the transportation system, and also partner that works alongside the value chain, for example, energy or fuel provider. The structure of the spoke can be easily understood if we look at these pictures. So basically, the 14 spokes are organized as follows. So there are 5 spokes that are vertically focused on one specific transport means. So from air mobility to road, to waterways, rail, and light vehicles. So they are focused on applying solution on a specific transportation mode, looking at the needs of this mode, and working close to the company that are operating every day these transport means, public or private. And then the other spoke are working on topics that are important for these transport means, but they are cross-sectional. So all transport means can be affected by the works done by the other spoke. So for example, so we have spoke related to the connected and autonomous vehicles. So typically when we talk about autonomous, we think about the autonomous car, but autonomous movement is not only a matter of the road system. It can be applied for automating other systems like unmanned vehicles, air vehicles, or for example, in a waterways operation within a port. We have smart infrastructure. So we need smart infrastructure that communicate to all the other systems in order to have a transport that are safe, that they can react to adverse events, but also that can interact with the vehicles. Mobility as a services, so more focus on the passenger and how the passenger can experience a seamless transport system, so one-shop booking, only an integrated tickets, but also a way to automatically, let's say, coordinate the services that typically every day we use. Then we have a focus on urban mobility that include all the planning and all the choices that are focused on areas where there are a specific environment that needs to identify results and solutions that are planned for a urban environment. Then a focus on freight and logistics, which have specific needs and specific needs in terms of automation. Work on innovative materials and lightweights that can, let's say, cross-sectionally apply to all type of vehicles. We have innovative propulsion system that are not connected to electricity, because we have just a specific spoke for electric traction system and batteries, and we have a focus on hydrogen. Overall, the sum up of the company that are part of the most connected with, and also the university, is generating an annual turnover of 290 billions, just just one number that is strongly explain how wide is the work of transport and transport economy. And they account for about 600,000 employees. As mentioned by previous national centers, one of the topic of the recovery plan was research to business. So not only enforce the basic research, but find solutions that put as close as possible the research to the industry, and finding a way to quickly and quicker reach the market. So how MOST is organized in order to reach these targets. So basically, we have decided to generate a series of initiatives that have the specific aim to facilitate the transition from basic research to business. The strong investment in the infrastructure, so for similar to the previous two national centers, more or less 40% of the budget is dedicated to the financing of research infrastructure. Then we have training. We have the open call, which have the aim to enlarge the number of partners involved in the city center. So as a national centers, even if 50 university and institutions are clearly representative of the Italian system, we know that Italian system have the PMI as one of their competitive keys. So one of the target is how to include also this as my enterprise in the activity, and the open call is one of the instruments that we have that can easily allow small or medium enterprise to participate to the activity, to research innovation, and bringing easier the results to the market. Then we have the setup of the living lab and the proof of concept. So we started at the end of 2022 as the other center. So how we grant the research to business activity. So we start with the POC, so the proof of concept, and we have a part of the budget dedicated to the proof of concept. Then we have the so-called scalability project that are typically characterized by a higher level of technology readiness level, so between 3 and 6. And then we have the so-called flagship initiatives that aim to bring the solution more close to the markets. As you see in the histograms, at the lower tier level, typically the university take the leads of the initiatives. When we move to the flagship, the private investment and the private involvement start to be higher and higher. Up to now, we have a lot of initiatives. So you see that overall we have 160 initiatives, 82 proof of concept initiatives, 53 scalability projects, and 25 flagship projects. So how these initiatives are spread alongside the pillar that we added initially and we seen at the first slide of this presentation. So for what regard the proof of concept initiatives, about half of this project is dedicated to decarbonization, a quarter to safety, and the other to congestion, transition, and accessibility. And you see, as I already mentioned, that at this stage, the university are the leader of the initiatives. When we move to the scalability initiatives, also the mix of initiatives start changing. So the pillars identified have a more similar importance within the activities, and the share of the private budget increased to 20%. When we move to the flagship, again, we see that the flagship are quite homogeneously divided into the pillars of the most, and the budget is then more or less split 50-50 between private and public partner. We also facilitate the startups, and up to now we have, let's say, a combined 15 startups. Each of them are selected through the public process, and they receive an award for their starting activities. And in the first round of our activities, we acknowledge 15 new startups. Again, quite homogeneously split between the pillars with, let's say, a bigger role of decarbonization, and also a bigger role of advanced materials in terms of topics. Then how we want to valorize the results of the activity. Of course, first is by granting the easy access to the market by all the initiatives that I already described. Since we are here in this beautiful place, I want to thank the initiative, because also INARC is one of the key partner for granting the continuity and granting the valorization of the results. So we have about 600 new researchers that has been introduced to the world of transport thanks to the MOST initiatives, and thanks to an initiative like this one, these guys will have the possibilities to meet other company, other project, and granting the continuity and the transfer of the knowledge between MOST and between the industry. We also apply, let's say, the principle of fair data as much as possible in order to grant the spread of the knowledge. let's say how we built up our capacity to transfer this knowledge, also by granting a correct IP valorization, because one of the topic is for sure producing research, but also producing IP value, and also to grant to this value the proper way to reach the market. And finally, we also start some permanent observatories. Transport is a dynamic world, and we need to observe every day how the belief, how behavior of people is changing in order to adapt our solution. And for this reason, we set up 3 permanent observatories. One is focused on road transport. The second one is focused on freight and logistics. And the fourth one is focused on the aviation sectors. Okay, this is the list of the partners. Thanks for being here, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Professor Malighetti. Now I have the pleasure of inviting Professor Francesco Frati, spoke leader of the National Biodiversity Future Center.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you for the opportunity to present the activity of the National Biodiversity Future Center. I would like to start by, I have no video from my president and my general director, but indeed I have their greetings to bring to you, the president Luigi Fiorentino, the general director Riccardo Coratella, and the scientific director Professor Massimo Labra from the University of Milano Bicocca. Now, the message I would like to share with you is that a change has occurred a few years ago in the public understanding of the importance of biodiversity. And through the center, which I have the privilege of representing here in this prestigious context, through this center, we would like to convince people that biodiversity is indeed a solution for our country and for the rest of the planet. Okay. Let's start with a few definitions. Biodiversity is the variety of species and the variety of ecosystems which are present on the Earth. And biodiversity supports everything in nature that we need to survive. It supports the Earth we are breathing, it supports the water we are drinking, and it supports our health. So this question has many answers, but the main reasons why we have to take care about biodiversity is the fact that in the last decades, we experienced a global erosion of the world's biodiversity, something that is going down, down, down. And if we do nothing to stop this erosion, everything will become inevitable. There are many drivers that had been recognized as main drivers in ecosystem, in biodiversity erosion. The overexploitation of land and sea, climate change, pollution, and indeed alien species. And most of these drivers, if not all of these drivers, are of anthropic origin. They depend on us, So as you know, and we're all here because of this reason, in a huge post-pandemic initiative, the country, and in particularly the Ministry of Education, decided to support 5 main centers and a huge initiative to bring back research into the center of the stage. One of the outputs of this initiative was the establishment of the National Biodiversity Future Center, whose proponent was the National Research Council, and whose hub is located in Palermo, within the University of Palermo. There are 46 affiliated institutions to the National Biodiversity Future Center, including universities, public research institutions, and private companies. We have over 2,000 researchers at different levels who are working to efficiently use the 320 million euros that had been dedicated to the study of Italian biodiversity. And indeed, when we knew the amount of the money, the first reaction was that none of the scientists of my generation, our generation, has ever seen such a significant investment on the study of Italian biodiversity. And so we all asked ourselves, why did this change of strategy actually happen? One answer is to be found here. On the 8th of February of 2022, the Italian Parliament approved a change in the Constitution of the Italian Republic, including the words environment, biodiversity, and ecosystem in Article 9 of the Constitution. This was really a breakthrough in the approach that the country was ready to give to the study of biodiversity. Scientists have always had a very clear idea of why we should protect biodiversity, because it guarantees proper functioning of the ecosystems, because it guarantees the evolution and adaptability in life, because it has a considerable aesthetic, recreational, and cultural value, and because it provides a lot of services which we call ecosystem services. Scientists, especially scientists, natural scientists and biology scientists, have always had a clear idea of the importance of the protection of biodiversity. But what about the rest of the world? Well, something has changed in politics because of the change of the Constitution, which is an example of this change, but also because a few years ago, the United Nations approved the 2030 Agenda, which include the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And Europe, of course, focused its attention on the study of biodiversity by adopting the first strategic plan and, more recently, adopting the so-called Nature Restoration Law that asks every state members to restore a part of the ecosystem that ecosystems that had been lost in the recent years. So politics changed its idea about the need of preserving biodiversity. And even economics did that. The World Economic Forum clearly declared how important is the protection of biodiversity, because, of course, they're thinking about money, and biodiversity is related to a huge part of the world's GDP. So economics had changed its view about the importance of biodiversity. The world and nature is no longer something that we may overexploit for the need of man, but for the need of man, we need to protect biodiversity. Even ethics has changed its view, and this is probably better demonstrated by the words of Pope Francis, who in his Laudato Si book focused on the importance of a good relation between man and nature. And to add a little bit of glamour to this presentation, even design decided that biodiversity is important when Pantone established a few years ago the color of biodiversity, which is the sort of pink color that you see in my slides. So everything has changed about thinking how biodiversity is important for the whole world. And Italy is indeed is a hotspot of biodiversity with 60,000 animal species, 10,000 vascular plants, and 130 different ecosystems. Nonetheless, many of these species are endangered. Some of these ecosystems are at risk of extinction. So the goal is to protect at least 30% of surfaces, for example. So the National Biodiversity Future Center is more or less organized, as you have already learned from those who have spoken before me. So we have 8 different spokes. 2 of them are dedicated to the study of marine ecosystems. 2 of them are dedicated to the study of terrestrial ecosystem. 2 of them are dedicated to the study of urban ecosystems, and 2 of them are dedicated to produce an impact on society. Having in mind 2 overarching goals: understanding and address the direct drivers of biodiversity loss at all these different levels, and increasing the value of biodiversity, making it a central element for sustainable development. These are the titles of the 8 spokes, but I'm not going to focus too much on them. I would like rather to focus on the importance that biodiversity has in the context of the One Health system. Biodiversity is important as it is important as a safer environment is important for our own health. Now, let's get back to the title, Biodiversity is the Solution. Why is biodiversity a solution? It is a solution for ecosystem functioning because biodiversity guarantees stability, resilience, and functional relations in the ecosystems. A biodiverse ecosystem has a much higher chance of surviving global changes. It is important for the adaptation of climate change. In this scheme, you see that diverse environments are more solid to resist to any kind of change that happen. It is important for social and economic sustainability. Indeed, biodiversity is a driver for social justice, and we interpret social justice as a mean of giving all the people in the world sustainable food and sustainable resources, especially from fishing, farming, and agriculture. And then human health and well-being. Human health is strictly related to the environmental diversity because it is the diversity of vegetables and animals that produces our food. And finally, by protecting biodiversity, we safeguard our culture and our tradition. If Italy is one of the hotspots of the world's hotspots of biodiversity, it means that it also has an importance in terms of culture for our country. The research activity of the National Biodiversity Future Centers focused on 4 different pillars. We will develop the discussion on those pillars in a couple of days in the morning, on Monday morning, which is dedicated to the National Biodiversity Future Center. These 4 pillars are monitoring, observe and measure, conservation, conserve and protect, restoration, repair and maintain, and we have to take into account the nature restoration law that has been passed by the European Union, and finally valorization, building the future, building a greener future for all of us. The first 3 pillars actually are engaged in producing data and producing knowledge, in doing science, in doing hard science. The 4th pillar wants to have an impact on society. Now let me go very briefly through all these 4 pillars. Monitoring is fundamental to improve our knowledge of the current biodiversity. There is no way we can protect anything if we don't know it before. There is no way we can enforce all the regulations about preserving biodiversity if we don't have the best possible knowledge of Italian biodiversity at all different levels, from the molecular level, the cellular level, to the landscape level, going through the individuals, the population, the species, and the ecosystems. Conservation. Conservation is indeed fundamental. If we are going to restore, then it is probably better to start with conserving what we already have and what we haven't destroyed yet. So we need to focus on the state of conservation, on the actual protection measures, and we want to expand the conservation scenario. The areas of our country which are under protection. Restoration is the next step. We have destroyed a lot of ecosystem, and we have to find the best possible ways to restore or to remediate these destroyed ecosystems. And we can do it by using new technologies and new approaches. There is a special focus on genetic biodiversity, because biodiversity is not only the number and abundance of different species in the world, and in our country indeed, but it also means studying the genetic repertoire of each species and populations, because each of these populations may be, for example, sources of new drugs and new pharmacological molecules. Valorization is indeed important, and the part dedicated to valorization deals with the involvement of private companies, for example, for the production of plant-derived new molecules which can be used as new drugs. But indeed, we want to also enhance science communication in order to make people more aware of the importance of biodiversity and educate a new generation of biodiversity experts. I mentioned the word education. Whatever the question, I like this sentence a lot, whatever the question, education is the answer. We need to educate the new generations to the study of evolution. We as scientists working in the study of biodiversity for most of our career have experienced another erosion, not only the erosion of biodiversity, but also the erosion of biodiversity experts. We have lost entire generations of taxonomists, those who need the species that are part of these valuable ecosystems. So we would like to focus on education projects in order to create a new generation of taxonomists, a new generation of biodiversity experts. And we can do it by organizing short seasonal courses, masters, and also fostering a PhD program which is organized by the University of Palermo and already has over 200 PhD students who are currently doing the research in a coordinating manner. The best option we have to convince the policymakers that protecting biodiversity is important is first to convince the people that those policymakers elect. So we decided that citizen science project might be a very efficient way of increasing public awareness on the importance of biodiversity. Citizen science projects are those projects in which citizens from local communities, schools, any kind of small associations in the territory are getting engaged in projects in which species are observed, ecosystems are preserved, and all sorts of those projects. The final goal of this approach is to valorize the cultural importance of biodiversity and that its intangible value, which is aesthetic, recreational, environmental, and has to do with our moral commitment toward our planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Frati. So we will end today's morning session on a high note with Professor Rosario Rizzuto, President of the Center for Gene Therapy and RNA-based Medicines.
So good morning to everybody. I don't have a message, so I'll spare some time. And it is a great pleasure and privilege to present the National Center on RNA and Gene Therapy. Let me say that I'm particularly grateful to our ministry and the Expo Commissioner for having the presentation of the National Centers here. I think it is an idea of the vision that we have of Italy and the vision that we want to deliver of our country. And I find it also stimulating the fact that we have Caravaggio, Leonardo, and Boccioni, just to mention what is in the pavilion, and which is our heritage. And Italy is a country of heritage, is a country that has beauty, that has science in its history. But beauty and science are a great asset if you're looking ahead and if they are a legacy that you project into the future. And as you know, I was the rector of the University of Padua, and we also have a legacy because we had Galileo among our scholars. And I always said that it's an honor to have Galileo and now to have Leonardo here. But it is an honor that you need to deserve. And to deserve is to think about the future of our country. And thinking of the future of our country as always at the forefront of innovation and technology is a vision that we want to deliver of Italy. And we want to deliver, I must say that the way in which I read the fact that our ministry invested a significant fraction of the PNRR, the recovery plan of Italy, into developing the national centers is the idea that we want Italy to be leader in emerging technologies and in emerging technologies that project to our future. And I have the privilege of being the last. So you heard how diverse is the technology in which Italy wants to invest. And I'm discussing the one, and the first thing I have to convince you is, you heard big themes. You heard biodiversity, you heard motility, you heard computing. And here you're not hearing about medical technologies. I mean, the national, ours is the only medically oriented national center, and you'd imagine that what we're looking at is technologies in general that are useful to curing patients. Instead, it has a focus, and the focus is gene therapy and RNA technology. And I think that if someone, well, RNA, I believe that except a small numbers of biologists and doctors, people would remember RNA as, RNA. In high school, I studied about DNA, RNA, and what it is, and nobody would think that RNA is a drug. Of course, then we had COVID, we had the vaccine, and the power of RNA technology became clear. But remember, RNA is not only vaccine. It's not only useful for having vaccination against a specific antigen. Gene therapy looks like a very small and focused direction of therapy. Some diseases, some rare genetic diseases can be cured by gene therapy. And instead, what I want you to focus on is that the idea of medicine has changed. And the idea of medicine has changed because now we know, and we know through science, we know through the understanding the basis of disease, that what we consider one disease is indeed molecularly extremely heterogeneous. And the easiest example is cancer. We know that now we are used to seeing lung cancer as one type of disease. Now we know that it's hundreds of different diseases, and it's hundreds of different diseases because you can get to the same aspect of disease, but indeed accumulating a number of mutations. And what is true for cancer is true in general for human diseases. And this has an implication, which is a strength and a risk. And the strength is that you can think of developing new approaches to disease, which are highly tailored to a specific patient. If I know that that patient has that disease because it accumulated mutation A, B, and C, if I have a drug against mutation A, mutation B, mutation C, then I have the best possible drug for that patient with fewer side effects and more effectiveness. In other words, we are going into personalized medicine and the power of personalized or individual medicine. But it's also a risk, because it means that we need to develop hundreds of different drugs for the very same disease. And the cost of each of these individual drugs is going to be taken back by a much smaller number of patients. In other words, what is the huge problem of rare diseases, which is that you develop a drug for a limited number of patients, is the dogma of medicine, I wouldn't say future medicine, of modern medicine, which is that we need to develop drugs for a number of patients that becomes smaller and smaller. And if this is the case, the only solution is technology. The only solution is we need to have technological platforms that allow us to develop not 1, 2, 3 drugs at a time, but hundreds of drugs at this time. And here come RNA and gene therapy. Here comes the potentials of the very same conceptual molecule, which is RNA, which is what drives the synthesis of protein, but what also regulates the function of genes, and gene therapy. Every single protein of our body is encoded by a gene. And now we have technologies for having gene correction in the living person. And therefore, you have a great potential, you have a great potential risk, and the solution is to be leader and to be able to develop the drugs with the emerging technologies that we have now in front. And the last line of this slide is what I think is the most important line of my whole presentation, which is that this technology is not only innovation, is not only economical exploitation of science, but it's also equity and sustainability, because if we want that, and one of the things that as Italians we are proud of is that we have a universal health system in which every patient is treated equally, whatever is his background, whatever is his economical well-being. And if we want a universal health system to be maintained with costs that are bearable, well, you really need to have the possibility to develop the technology and own the technology as a country. And with this, I think that we understand why we have a national center on these new technologies, on RNA and gene therapy, and also I think you understand what is the goal of this center, which is to identify and validate gene therapy and RNA treatment. What does this mean? That we need to develop research that identifies the individual targets, and we need to verify that these targets are really suitable for tailored treatment of patients. And of course, the whole path is improving the technology and validating the targets. The PNRR, you already heard, is not only supporting science, but supporting science that goes into production of new drugs. So this is what the center has to do and is doing. And of course, we believe that this is very important for maintaining equitability and sustainability of our healthcare system. All the rest is, as you may expect, we are divided into spokes. So the hub is coordinating the activity of 10 spokes that are of two types. One is what we call the vertical spokes, which is spokes that take fundamental research, so understanding one specific basis of disease and bringing it to developing an RNA-based drug or a gene therapy approach. And therefore, these spokes are divided in disease areas. And you recognize that the spokes are the most prevalent diseases by which we get sick and eventually we die. So it's cancer, neurodegeneration, metabolic and cardiovascular, and inflammatory and infectious. Of course, if you think of infectious, the idea goes back to the pandemics, but remember that inflammation is the basis of unhealthy aging, and many of the diseases actually derive from inflammatory changes in our body. Genetic diseases are not common diseases. So I told 4 vertical spokes are centered on common diseases, but it is important, again, in terms of equity, that every disease has a chance to be treated. And of course, genetic diseases are rare diseases, but the patients have exactly the same rights as every other patient. So one spoke is centered on rare genetic diseases that very often are neglected by pharma companies because these drugs are too expensive to become profitable. The other 5 spokes, which are not vertical, not on one specific group of diseases from research to drug, is instead on improving the technology. And therefore are what we call the horizontal spokes, because every advancement of this spoke is beneficial to different vertical spokes. If I have a good way to deliver an RNA drug, this will be useful for a cancer drug and for a neurodegenerative drug. And therefore, the 5 vertical spokes are 4 directly, specifically to technologies, which are one on the chemistry of RNA and DNA. We know that in order to make the most effective RNA drug, you need to modify the RNA, you have to make it less immunogenic, you have to improve the modification of the RNA. This you do in part by experimentation, in part by prediction. So we have also a solid biocomputing spoke. You need to deliver the RNA, the nucleic acid, has to go to the right cell. And we know that for some cells, this is very easy. If you want to tackle a liver disease, that's very direct. The liver will take up everything. If you want to get to the nervous system, that's much more complicated. And in fact, now, as of now, we have very few drugs that are directly targeting neurological disorders. And on this, we have some very interesting advancement, and we are starting to have the first example of RNA and DNA platform deliveries also to difficult organs. And the 4th methodological spoke is the one on pharmacology. We are talking about a class of drug that is different from the one that we have been using so far. And not only that, but these are drugs that are species-specific. An RNA, I cannot test it entirely on a mouse because the mouse sequence is different from the human sequence. So we need to develop classical pharmacology, but we also need to develop some screening methods that are based on humans. And in particular, one of the areas that we are exploiting are the so-called organoids, which are mini organs derived from pluripotent stem cells of humans. The last spoke, spoke 10, is the one that actually brings the drugs to clinical practice. So you see that it has to do with clinical trials, it has to do with manufacturing in clinical grade products. The team is again a team as for all other centers, which is a mixed team of universities. Also in this case, we have 24 universities and CNR on the university ministry controlled entities, while on the other entities we have private and public research institutes that are not university research institutes, and we have pharma companies. Of course, the pharma companies will be different from the one that you heard so far, because you see pharma, big pharma, you see AstraZeneca, you see Sanofi, you have Italian companies like Chiesi, Dompé, you have small biotechs like Takis or Innovavector or so forth. So it's a mixture of the different levels of complexity of pharma. What have we built? What is the legacy that we're leaving? Of course, we have recruited, just as you have heard, the numbers are very similar. We have more than 500 between assistant professors and PhD students that have been recruited. Overall, the research group is almost 2,000 people. One of the requests of the recovery plan is gender equality. At least 40% had to be recruited, or the recruits had to be women, and we perform very well because, in fact, the majority of the recruited people in our area are women. More than 60% are women. We are investing also in infrastructure. Infrastructure means that every single spoke has state-of-the-art instrumentation, but also that we are building some national infrastructure on the key enabling technologies. In particular, we are implementing the gene therapy centers that were already active in Milan and Rome, and we are building in Naples an RNA production platform which is available to the entire center, but also to the rest of the scientific community and to pharma companies, in which pilot production of GMP, good manufacturing practice, so clinical grade drugs can be performed within the center. In the last year, we made a screening of the advancement of the preclinical and pre-industrial advancement of every individual project, and we selected 35 of these projects that were ready to either develop a service for the entire community, or that were ready to have a product and therefore to make a startup or to license the IP. And to these projects, we allocated the remaining, we kept a little part of the budget. So 15 million, the budget was, as for all the other centers, 320 million for our center. And we kept 15 million untouched. Our director was very concerned because we had that money blocked. And I said, be patient. There will be time when we're going to use it. And the time came because we allocated it a few months ago to have a 1-year time spending for having the projects to become real startups and to really develop the technology by investing on the proof of concept, supporting the regulatory and legal framing, the business development, and giving and acquiring new funding. We have a specific training program, which is a PhD program in RNA therapeutics and gene therapy, which is based in Naples, in which 10 universities participate, and we already had 2 rounds of PhD students. Now, soon becoming, the first round is going to become new human capital specifically formed on this topic. We also have a postgraduate course, which is the Pharmatech Academy, again, for private and public graduates that want to develop a skill in these new technologies. And of course, we are communicating. Maybe really the most complicated things for us is to convince that RNA is the future of medicine, not the COVID vaccine. Because the good part is that everyone knows what RNA is. The difficult part is making them understand that that was one very successful example, but a very tiny example of what RNA and gene therapy can do, and this is what we're doing. We're having a number of programs, we have channels programs, and so on. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, President Rizzuto. So once again, I sincerely thank you all for attending this morning session. I would especially like to extend my gratitude to our distinguished speakers to their valuable contributions. A special thank to Emblema Foundation, specifically to Tommaso, Michaela, Cristiana, Daniela, and the others who made this INARC project possible. As previously announced, our next session is scheduled for this afternoon at 3 p.m. with the presentation of the Center for Gene Therapy and RNA-based Medicines. In the meantime, please enjoy your break and have a wonderful experience at Expo 2025. Thank you.